$4.90 spent at Watson's earns you nothing at all. Not a fraction of a mile, nothing. That is not my reading of the small print, that is the small print. OCBC wrote the example itself into the terms governing its rewards card, and of all the numbers it could have chosen to illustrate the rule, it chose $4.90. Now look at the top of the same bank's own product page, which I read on the 26th of August, 2026. Earn 15 OCBC dollars, the equivalent of 6 air miles, for every 1 Singapore dollar spent at Watson's and on selected online shopping platforms. For every $1 spent. Both of those sentences belong to OCBC. Both are live as I speak. And on the 1st of July, the bank rolled that 6-mile offer forward by another 9 months, out to the 31st of March, 2027. So which is true, 6 miles for every dollar you spend, or nothing at all for $4.90? They are both true, that is the whole problem. The reconciliation is one clause, and it is not a rounding error in the ordinary sense. It decides how much of your spending the card is willing to look at. And the 5 merchants OCBC has pointed this offer at happen to be the worst possible place to apply it. Here is the clause. Chapter 1, 15 for 1. The OCBC Rewards Card pays in a currency the bank invented for itself, OCBC dollars. You need one number to follow everything that comes next, and OCBC prints it on the product page. 25,000 OCBC dollars buys 10,000 KrisFlyer Miles. So 1 OCBC dollar is worth 4/10 of a mile. Hold that ratio. Everything else is arithmetic on top of it. The card standing offer is 10 OCBC dollars for every Singapore dollar spent in a list of shopping categories: clothing, department stores, shoes, luggage, sporting goods, and a named list of online merchants. 10 OCBC dollars is 4 miles. That is the card's headline in ordinary months. Then there is the promotion. The campaign has terms of its own in their own document, and I am reading the title exactly. Terms and Conditions Governing the OCBC Rewards Card 15x OCBC Dollar Campaign. The file's own creation date is the 26th of June, 2026. Clause 1. The promotion period runs from the 1st of July, 2026 to the 31st of March, 2027, both dates inclusive. 5 merchants qualify: Watson's, Shopee, Lazada, TikTok Shop, Taobao. That is it, 5 names, 9 months. The mechanic is in Clause 3.1. An eligible card member receives an additional 5 OCBC dollars for every 1 Singapore dollar spent. Up to 5,000 OCBC dollars each calendar month. Add that to the 10 you were already getting and you have 15 OCBC dollars per Singapore dollar. 15 OCBC dollars at 4/10 of a mile each is 6 miles. 6 miles per dollar. That is where the headline comes from, and the arithmetic is honest as far as it goes. Now the ceilings, because there are 2 of them and they are not the same ceiling. The standing program caps bonus OCBC dollars at 10,000 a calendar month. The promotion caps its own top-up at 5,000 a calendar month. 15,000 in total, which OCBC's page converts for you, up to 180,000 bonus OCBC dollars a year. 180,000 OCBC dollars is 72,000 miles. Add the base earn on top, and a member who fills both ceilings every month for 12 months collects 77,280 miles a year. What? That is a real number, and it is a good one. 77,000 miles is a business class seat to somewhere worth going. So what does it take to get there? About $1,100 of spending a month at the right merchants in the right amounts. $13,000 a year pointed at 5 names. That is the offer as the bank describes it. Every figure I have just given you comes from OCBC's own page or OCBC's own campaign terms, read on the 26th of August. And every one of them assumes something the terms quietly refuse to grant. Chapter 2, the blocking. Clause 1, Paragraph C of the OCBC Rewards Card Program Terms. I am going to read it to you, because paraphrasing it would be doing you a disservice. For avoidance of doubt, all OCBC dollars earned shall be calculated based on each block of $5 charged to the card per transaction, and card members shall not be entitled to any partial or prorated award of any OCBC dollars for any amount charged that does not amount to a $5 block. Then the sentence that does the real work. Amounts charged in multiple transactions will not be combined to make up a $5 block. Read that twice. It is not saying rewards are rounded. It is saying the card does not see your spending as an amount of money at all. It sees a count of whole $5 blocks, transaction by transaction, and everything below the next block is discarded and cannot be recovered. The same clause, word for word in substance, sits in the promotion terms as clause 4.1, so it governs the 6-mile offer too, both documents, same rule. And then OCBC does something I genuinely did not expect. It gives you 2 worked examples. Example 1. A customer who spends an amount between $10 and $14.99 in a single transaction can earn up to 100 OCBC dollars. Find 2 blocks, 50 OCBC dollars a block, that checks out. Example 2. A customer who spends $4.90 in a single transaction, or who spends $2.50 in one transaction and $2.50 in another, will not be awarded any OCBC dollars. Stop on that for a second. The bank chose to illustrate the rule with $4.90, not $4, not $3. $4.90. A price ending in 90, which is how essentially everything in Singapore retail is priced. And the second half of that example is the part with teeth. $2.50 plus $2.50 is $5. You spent $5, you earn nothing because you spent it twice. The rule in one line because it is simple once you see it. Take what you spent, divide by 5, throw away the remainder. Whatever whole number is left is what you get paid on. That is a floor function, and floor functions are brutal at small values and invisible at large ones. On a $500 Lazada order, the most you can lose is $4.99. 1% of it. On a $9.90 order, you lose $4.90 of $9.90. Which is very nearly half. And here is the geometry that makes this specific promotion so unlucky. Any price where the dollars end in 4 or 9 and the cents are 90 discards exactly $4.90. $4.90, $9.90, $14.90, $19.90, $24.90. Every one of them lands 1 cent short of another whole block. Now where have you seen those exact numbers? Not on a department store code at $180, on a marketplace listing, on a shelf of shampoo. The 90-cent price ending is the convention of small-ticket retail, and OCBC knows it. The bank reached for $4.90 when it needed an example of earning nothing. So how much does the block rule actually cost you? Not in principle, in miles. Chapter 3. What the rounding costs. To price the damage, you need one thing the marketing never gives you: the size of a typical basket. Shopee publishes it not as a basket size, as 2 lines in its parent company's quarterly results, which you can divide. C Limited reported its second quarter on the 11th of August, 2026. Gross orders totaled $4.2 billion for the quarter. Gross merchandise value was $38.3 billion US dollars. Divide one by the other and the average Shopee order is about $9 US dollars and 12 cents. At the reference rate on the 25th of August, $1 US dollar to $1.2703 Singapore. That is roughly $11.58. One caveat, and it matters. That is Shopee across every market it operates in, Brazil included. It is not a Singapore figure, and Singapore baskets are probably larger. Treat it as the order of magnitude, not the answer. Even so, $11.58. Run it through the block rule. $11.58 divided by 5 is 2 whole blocks. 2 blocks at 30 miles each is 60 miles. What does 6 miles per dollar promise on $11.58? 69.5. So the advertised rate pays 69. The card pays 60. You are down about 1 mile and 7, and the effective rate is 5.18, not 6. 13% on the average basket, every basket. Now do it at the price points that actually appear on those 5 merchants. $9.90 divide by 5. 1 block 30 miles, the advertised rate would be 59. You received half of what the number on the page implies. What? $19.90, 3 blocks 90 miles against an advertised 119. A quarter of it gone. $12.90, 2 blocks 60 miles against 77. And $4.90, the bank's own example, pays 0. Here is the part I find genuinely hard to defend. Take that $9.90 basket and add 10 cents. 10 cents. Now you have spent $10, which is 2 whole blocks, and the card pays you 60 miles instead of 30. 10 cents of extra spending doubles the reward. That is not a reward for spending more. 10 cents is not spending more in any sense a person would recognize. It is a reward for landing on the right side of a line the terms drew. A line the checkout does not mention, the app does not display, and the advertised rate flatly contradicts. And I want to be fair about the direction of this. The block rule is not hidden. It is in the program terms. It is in the campaign terms. It is on the product page as an asterisk beneath the earn rates. We will award OCBC dollars in blocks of $5 for each transaction. It is disclosed. It is disclosed the way a footnote is disclosed, under a headline that says for every 1 Singapore dollar spent. So does the ceiling at least protect you? If you're going to lose 13% on the way up, does the cap still land where OCBC says it lands? It does not, and the reason is worth its own chapter. Chapter 4: A cap counted in blocks. Every cap on this card is denominated in OCBC dollars, not in spending. That distinction sounds like pedantry, and it is worth real money. The promotion caps its top-up at 5,000 OCBC dollars a calendar month. The top-up rate is 25 OCBC dollars per $5 block, so the ceiling is 200 blocks a month. 200 exactly. Now ask the question the page never poses. How much do you have to spend to buy 200 blocks? If every transaction you make is a clean multiple of $5, 200 blocks costs $1,000. That is the number the marketing implies, and under those conditions it is correct. Make every transaction $11.58. Shopee's average. And each one buys 2 blocks. You need 100 of them. 100 times $11.58 is $1,158. Make every transaction $9.90 and each one buys a single block. 200 transactions. 200 times $9.90 is $1,980. What? Nearly double the spending for exactly the same cap. Sit with the shape of that. The rounding loss does not come off the top of your rewards after the cap is applied. It comes off your spending before the cap can see it. So the smaller your baskets, the more you must spend to reach a ceiling that is described to you in dollars. The same thing happens on the standing 10,000 OCBC dollar bonus, which works out to 222 blocks a month, or $1,110 of clean spending. Put both ceilings together at their best case and you get 16,100 OCBC dollars a month, 6,440 miles. 12 months of that is 77,280 miles a year. The number from Chapter 1, and it is a genuine ceiling. You cannot exceed it. But now you know what it costs to reach it, and it is not one figure. It is a range that depends entirely on how you happen to shop. $1,110 a month if your baskets are perfect. Closer to $2,200 if your baskets look like the merchant's OCBC selected. And there is one more edge in here that I would call the sharpest thing in the terms. Amounts charged in multiple transactions will not be combined to make up a $5 block. Marketplaces split orders. A Shopee cart with items from 3 different sellers does not always arrive at your card as one charge. Every split is a fresh remainder, discarded independently. So the same trolley of goods at the same total can pay you materially different amounts of miles depending on how the merchant chose to bill it. Not on what you bought, not on what you spent, on a decision the seller made about how to package the charge. Does OCBC disclose that? The clause is right there in plain English in 2 separate documents. It is disclosed. Would you catch it happening to you? That is a different question, and the answer is almost certainly no. Chapter 5: 64 Days. Suppose you wanted to check. You have read this far, you are unconvinced, and you would like to look at your own statement and see whether the block rule is really costing you 1/7 of your miles. How long would you have to wait? OCBC answers that in its own frequently asked questions document with its own worked example. I will read it as written. If a $500 Lazada purchase is made on the 28th of November 2023, transaction date, and posted on the 2nd of December 2023, posted date, 500 OCBC dollars will be credited to your account on the 28th of November, and the remaining 4,500 on the 31st of January 2024. Count the days. Purchase on the 28th of November, bonus lands on the 31st of January, that is 64 days. What? And it arrives in 2 separate pieces. One OCBC dollar per dollar spent shows up almost immediately. The other 9 per dollar show up 2 months later, aggregated with everything else that month. That split is not incidental to the argument. It is the reason the block rule is invisible. At the moment you tap your card, you see the base credit. It is small, it is roughly proportional, and it looks like it is behaving. The 9/10 of your reward that carries all the rounding loss is not there yet. When it does arrive, it arrives as one monthly lump, credited against a whole month of transactions, with no per-transaction breakdown of what was discarded. Ask yourself honestly, could you reconstruct from that which of your Shopee orders lost $4.90 and which lost 20 cents? You would need every transaction amount for the month, the floor of each divided by 5, and the patience to do it. But nothing in the app does it for you, and nothing in the statement flags it. Notice also what OCBC chose for that example. A $500 Lazada purchase. $500 is exactly 100 blocks. There is no remainder. It is the one basket size in the entire document where the block rule costs the customer precisely nothing. And it is the basket size the bank picked to explain how earning works. I do not think that is a trick. I think it is what happens when a worked example is written to be arithmetically tidy rather than representative. But the effect on a reader is the same either way. If the only illustration you are shown divides cleanly by 5, you will never form the question. And the question is the whole of it, not what does this card pay? What does it pay on the money I actually spend in the amounts I actually spend it? The terms answer that, the marketing does not. And as it turns out, OCBC's own documents cannot even agree with each other on the simpler facts. Chapter 6. The documents disagree. I pulled 4 things off OCBC's own servers on the 26th of August: the product page, the program terms, the campaign terms, and the frequently asked questions. All current, all linked from the same card. They do not tell the same story. Check them against each other and the disagreements are not subtle. Start with the annual cap. The product page says you can earn up to 180,000 bonus OCBC dollars a year. The frequently asked questions, downloaded the same morning, say 120,000. Those reconcile. 120,000 is the standing program, 180,000 includes the promotion. But the FAQ does not say that. It states 120,000 flatly as the answer to the question, how many OCBC dollars can I earn? A customer reading the answer to that question is told a number. 60,000 short. And given nothing to reconcile it with. Next, the merchant list. And this one you can count yourself. The program terms name 12 merchants. The FAQ names 14. It adds Daigo and Q10 and renames NTUC Unity as Unity by Fair Price. 2 documents, 1 card, 2 lists. Next, the exclusions. The campaign terms say Shopee Pay transactions under merchant category code 5262 and merchant category code 6540 will not earn any OCBC dollars. The program terms and the FAQ both mention only 5262. 6540 appears in 1 document out of 3. I could not find an archived earlier copy of the campaign terms to establish whether that second exclusion is new, so I am not going to claim it is. What I can say is what is verifiable. The exclusion is in force under the campaign, and 2 of the 3 places a cardholder would look do not mention it. And then the one I keep coming back to. Question 5 of the FAQ explains why merchant category codes matter. Its example reads, card members earn bonus OCBC dollars only on transactions that fall under certain codes. For example, code 5261, women's ready-to-wear stores. 5261. Read it again if you want, I did. The table on page 1 of that same document says women's ready-to-wear stores is code 5621. The program terms say 5621. Both are right, the example is wrong. 2 digits transposed. In the document whose only job on that page is to explain that a 4-digit code decides whether you get paid. None of these are scandals. A transposed pair of digits is a typo, not a policy. But stack them. An annual cap stated 2 ways, a merchant list stated 2 ways, an exclusion in 1 document out of 3, and a wrong code inside the explanation of codes. If the paperwork on a rewards card cannot hold 4 numbers steady across 4 documents, how confident should you be about the 1 number the paperwork never states at all? What this card actually pays on the money you spend. Chapter 7. 21 months. One more thing about this promotion, and you can only see it by watching the same web page across 3 years. The Internet Archive has snapshots of OCBC's rewards card page going back well before this campaign. I read 5 of them. Here is what that page said in its own words on 5 dates. 1st of March 2024. From the 1st of January 2024 to the 31st of March 2024, get 15 OCBC dollars for every dollar spent at Tangs and SHIN. What? 2 merchants, a 3-month window with its start and end dates printed. 18th of June 2025. From now till the 30th of June 2025 at Watson's and in department stores. 26th of July 2025. From now till the 31st of December 2025. Watson's, Lazada, Shopee, Taobao and TikTok Shop. There it is, the 5 merchants arrive in the second half of 2025. 22nd of March 2026 and again on the 18th of June, from now till the 30th of June 2026. Same 5 names. And today, the 26th of August 2026, from now till the 31st of March 2027, same 5 names. So follow the shape with me. The campaign that began in 2024 ran 3 months on 2 merchants with a fixed window. The campaign running now has carried the same 5 merchants since at least the 26th of July 2025. That is the first snapshot in which all 5 appear. Carry that through to the 31st of March 2027 and you get 21 continuous months. Give or take the few weeks the archive did not photograph, with the end date pushed back 3 separate times, 31st of December, 30th of June, 31st of March. Why does that matter to you? Because a rotating offer and a permanent one are different products, and only one of them is worth watching. If the merchant list genuinely changed every quarter, checking the page would be worth your time. If the same 5 names roll forward indefinitely, the 6 is not a promotion at all. It is the card's real earn rate on those merchants, described as a limited time offer for 21 months and counting. And a permanent rate deserves to be judged permanently, not as a bonus you were lucky to catch, as the thing your card does every time you use it. Which brings the whole argument to a single sentence. This card's permanent rate at 5 small basket merchants is advertised as 6 miles per dollar and paid in whole $5 blocks. Chapter 8. What would change this? Here is the strongest version of the case against everything I have just argued. It is not a weak case. The block rule is published, it sits in 2 sets of terms and on the product page. It is old. It long predates this campaign. And it is beatable. Round your basket up to the next multiple of 5 and you capture the full 6. A 20-cent top-up on a $9.90 order is not a hardship. All of that is true. If your view is that a disclosed rule a customer can work around is simply a rule, then this card pays 6 miles a dollar to anyone who reads, and I have spent half an hour describing a footnote. Here is what would move me off that. Show me OCBC stating the effective rate anywhere a customer meets the offer. At checkout in the app beside the headline rather than beneath an asterisk, I have not found it. If it exists, the gap I have described closes. Or show me that the block rule is applied to a running monthly total rather than transaction by transaction. The clause says the opposite in both documents in the same words, but if it were operationally true, the whole argument collapses and I would rather know. Or give me a Singapore-specific average basket at those 5 merchants that is comfortably above $25. My 1158 is Shopee's global figure, and I flagged it as such. A larger Singapore basket shrinks the loss towards nothing. Here is what would not move me, the observation that everyone does this. I have not audited every issuer in Singapore and I am not going to pretend I have. But suppose block earning is the industry convention. A convention is still not what makes. For every 1 Singapore dollar spent. An accurate description of a rule that pays nothing for $4.90. So take one number away from this, not the 13% which depends on your baskets, take the 10 cents. 10 cents added to a $9.90 purchase doubles what that purchase earns you. Any rate that can double on 10 cents is not a rate, it is a staircase. And the bank is quoting you the height of the building.